Thank you so much for joining us on Africa This Morning. It is the 51st Jamhuri Day here in Kenya, and happy Jamhuri Day to all Kenyan residents. We have a lot lined up for you on our Friday show on Table Talk, on our Tech This Art segment, and on Media Watch. But first up, we'll take on the bulletin through the headlines. Parliament starts debate on controversial security bill as court vows to shoot it down.
It is going to be whoever is qualified will get the job.
Nkaiseri Vetting, the nominee to the post of Interior Ministry, appears before MPs. The Kajiado Central MP promised to deal with the insecurity and corruption if appointment to the post. We are watching criminals put on notice as surveillance criminals start working. President Uhuru Kenyatta visited the command center of the new security system in Jogoo House. And finally, who let the donkeys out? Civil rights activists use donkeys to express dissatisfaction with the political class. 22 donkeys branded Tumechoka, which means we are tired, were dumped and left to wander the streets. Thank you so much for joining us. We start off here in Kenya on security matters. A controversial security law amendment bill sailed through the second reading despite an attempt by a section of MPs to stop it. Speaker Justin Muturi dismissed the MPs who had questioned the manner in which the controversial bill was introduced before the House. The debate on the controversial bill will continue next week.
A section of MPs had launched a spirited fight to have the Security Laws Amendment Bill withdrawn, arguing that it was unconstitutional. The MPs, led by Budalangi MP Ababu Namwamba, said some sections of the bill may be used by the state to violate human rights if not changed.
This bill also violates certain inalienable principles of the Constitution in both letter and spirit, including public participation, including the role of the Senate. The Senate must have a role in this bill because it touches directly affairs of counties, Honorable Speaker. But this bill, Honorable Speaker, also touches on the procedures and customs of this House.
However, Mr. Speaker, this bill where it has reached now can be amended. As a member of the House Business Committee, that the House Business Committee did not meet to schedule these bills as they appear here today.
Speaker Justin Muturi, however, differed with the MPs opposed to the bill, saying they will have an opportunity to introduce amendments during the committee stage.
The House has complied with the requirements of Standing Order number 127, subsection 3, as read together with the provisions of the Constitution 118, and what is awaited is the report of the committee. However, the President of this House has been that the absence of a report of a committee does not prejudice in any bill from proceeding to second reading.
While moving the bill, National Security Committee Chairman Asman Kamama defended the proposed law, saying it was necessary to enable the state deal with insecurity. He urged members from across the political divide to approach the issue in a bipartisan manner.
Mr. Speaker, this has been cured by ensuring that there is one specific commander where the buck stops, especially on matters of security. We want to recommend that in far-flung areas like the Asal region, where cat rustling and banditry is common, those areas should be aided by an officer or a commander from administration police and then deputized by an officer from regular police, cascading all the way to the sub-counties, so that we have one single command and the chair of national security is the county commissioner.
He assured MPs that the committee has addressed their concerns.
Mr. Speaker, and possession of weapons in public places and places of worship has also been dealt with, and the penalty has been provided. And Mr. Speaker, we want to say that if this law is passed, we will be able to deal very decisively and conclusively with matters of related to terrorists.
Majority Leader Aden Duale seconded the motion.
we must rise to the occasion. We must look at this bill with soberness and look at the bill and say the following areas are okay. The following areas we need to relook at it. And as a house, with the interest of the country, with the interest of the security challenges we have, I have no doubt in my mind, Honorable Speaker, that we will come together to a table. We will protect the Constitution. We will protect the Bill of Rights. We will protect the lives of our people. And at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we will have a law that will make a difference.
During debate, a section of MPs supported the bill, saying the offending parts will be amended.
But, Mr. Speaker, sir, this bill protects the most fundamental of the human rights, which is life, which is protection, safety, and security. If we all die, we will enjoy these rights that we so vehemently and passionately purport to be defending.
Others were critical, saying the bill is unconstitutional.
And we have given examples. We have said Section 4 and Section 5 of this bill violates Article 37 of the Constitution.
The bill is intended to empower the government and security agencies to fight terrorism.
Meanwhile, the opposition has dismissed the proposed Security Laws Amendment Bill, arguing that the insecurity problem in the country is due to poor law enforcement policies by the government, not due to inadequate laws here in the country. Here's more on the story.
The opposition bashed the Security Laws Amendment Bill proposed by the government, saying the country's sorry state of security ought to be attributed to poor law enforcement by the government and the security agencies. The proposed bill, released 2 days ago, has elicited a lot of debate from the general public. In line with some of the concerns raised about the bill, the court members said if passed in its current form, the proposed law will affect guaranteed fundamental rights.
The proposed security bill seeks to take away the fundamental rights and freedoms that Kenyans have fought for decades. We know for a fact that many have died along the way. We know for a fact that we have lost brothers and sisters so that we can enjoy the rights that we are enjoying at this point in time.
Arguing that the bill may separate the ability to investigate, detect and investigate crime, Code Corps Principal Moses Wetangula said lack of enough personnel in law enforcement agencies and the government's inability to streamline the security sector were some of the issues ailing the sector.
What happened in Mpeketoni? Was it because of the inadequacy of laws or inability to enforce the law? What happened in Mandera 1 and 2? Was it because of inadequacy of laws or the inability to enforce the law? What happened in Kapedo? Same thing.
CORD leader Raila Odinga said if the law is passed as proposed, it might take the country back to the dark days.
Try to address what our problem. On the eve of our nation's 51st independence anniversary, our country is on the verge of being taken back to the dark past that we thought we had put behind us forever. Our freedoms are on the verge of being rolled back and our rights taken away in significant ways.
As a coalition, it was important to have our members of parliament in Bunge.
Critics say the bill as drafted has some parts that may affect freedom of expression, rights to privacy and freedom of the media.
The wedding was on Sunday.
President Ooro Kenyatta visited the Command and Control Center of the new surveillance system based in Jogoo House to monitor activities going on around various streets in the Central Business District. The ambitious project is set to enhance surveillance in the country, with the police cameras already monitoring parts of Nairobi.
Following the launch of the 437 million shilling CCTV surveillance system by the Nairobi Metropolitan Ministry in a bid to curb rising crime in the CBD, the president was able to monitor activities going on around the Nyamakima and Accra roads through live feeds from cameras installed at strategic locations at the Command and Control Center. The live pictures relayed to the police command center were clear and powerful that the president was able to read a newspaper being held by a man on Ooro Road from the comfort of his seat. The project, which is being implemented by Safaricom together with the police, includes the installation of high-tech cameras in the streets of Nairobi and Mombasa before the project rolls out to other parts of the country. It also includes the provision of modern radios that can take pictures and relay videos back to the command center. The project will also see the police install cameras on top of buildings to share live feeds from CCTVs with security agents. According to officials, 20 radio-based stations using 4G technology have already been completed in Nairobi to cover Huruma, Mathare, Eastleigh and Dandora areas. The first phase of the project, which will use 1,800 cameras, will cover the Nairobi metropolitan area. Some areas that are of interest to security agents will have fixed cameras that do not pan left or right. Police officers on patrol can also relay videos to the command center using their radio.
Can you hear me?
At least 10,000 to 12,000 officers will be trained to use the new system. Already 32 have been trained to use the system, while 180 senior officers from all over the country have undergone an awareness program. Safaricom, which is implementing the project, will not have access to the live feeds once the system is handed over, but will only be able to monitor if the network is working and stable. President Uhuru Kenyatta encouraged the officers implementing the project to keep up the work.
Good morning. Tumewaona hapa mkipiga story hapo. Congratulations. Thank you. Please keep it up. We're looking forward to coming in May.
Now, this project comes in the wake of an increased crime rate, not only in the Nairobi metropolitan, but also in the country at large. However, once rolled out, Kenyans will be looking to see whether this project worth millions of shillings would help solve the security problem in the country. For Ebro Africa News, I am Akisa Wandera in Nairobi.
The nominee for the post of Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaissery appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on National Security for vetting. The Kajiado Central MP promised to deal with insecurity and corruption if appointed to the post.
It was only last week that President Kenyatta made changes to the security docket, sacking Joseph Olelenku, the Interior Cabinet Secretary, after days of public pressure, replacing him with retired Major General Joseph Nkaissery.
Within the docket for which you've been...
The nominee appeared before the Committee on Appointments for approval.
For the appointment, if he will be approved by the Parliament.
The Kajiado Central MP was asked to explain how well he will handle the security docket if appointed.
The borders, our external borders, is the responsibility of the defense forces. We need to give them mobility, empower them with mobility. And for us who deal with the internal aspect, the people along, like Garissa, starting from Lamu, Garissa, Wajir, Mandera, we need to empower the police.
According to Nkaissery, a dysfunctional legal and administrative system in the police service is the main cause of the worsening security problem in the country, and vowed to fix it once approved for the post.
My vision really, if I'm given this job, is to have a very highly disciplined, versatile, and robust police service. And I think if we get there, if we can achieve that, I think we'll be in a position really to achieve what we have asked for.
The nominee, who was once an Assistant Minister for Defense, believes he has what it takes to restore peace in the country, his two main priorities being to fight insecurity and corruption. He says he has a well-laid plan of fighting terrorism and cattle rustling and want criminals to be on the lookout once he is appointed.
As I said earlier, we coordinate all the security organs and we make sure that we put the resources available and we give them whatever is required. And my brother Kipitanui has just, put your question, how can you? We need to see these resources whether they've been used for the purpose intended. And if we do that, I think we will get somewhere. And
he vowed to work with the government to help in the realization of the Jubilee government manifesto. According to the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, who also chairs the committee, the decision on whether he will be approved will be based on academic qualifications, professional training, experience, and personal integrity. The committee will meet on Tuesday next week to give their verdict.
Still in Kenya via the ICC prosecutor Fatu Bensouda is not done with the case against President Uhuru Kenyatta, barely a week after she requested the court to allow her withdraw the charges, citing lack of enough evidence. Bensouda now wants to appeal against a ruling dismissing her application to have Kenya referred to the Assembly of State Parties for non-compliance.
6 days ago, ICC prosecutor Fatu Bensouda withdrew all charges against President Uhuru Kenyatta. But the recent activities at the ICC involving the case are a clear indication that the prosecutor is not done with the president. In an application made Tuesday, Bensouda asked the judges to allow her to appeal the decision not to sanction Kenya for alleged failure to disclose Kenyatta's financial and fund records. Bensouda maintains that the trial judges had already made a finding that the government of Kenya failed to cooperate, insisting that the only remedy was to refer Kenya to the Assembly of State Parties for non-compliance. In reference to that request, the ICC is now seeking the Kenyan government's views and observations on Bensouda's request to appeal before the 22nd of December, barely 2 weeks from now. Other parties, like the legal representative of victims, have until the 6th of January to file any responses to such observations. Withdrawing the case on Friday, Bensouda indicated that she could press for new charges and emphasized that Kenyatta's case has not been terminated.
The withdrawal of the charges does not mean that the case has been permanently terminated. Mr. Kenyatta has not been acquitted, and the case can be reopened or brought in a different form if new evidence establishing the crimes and his responsibility for them is discovered.
According to the invite from the ICC, the nature of Bensouda's request demands that the chamber receives observations on the matter from the Kenyan government.
First Lady Margaret Kenyatta asked the Parliament to expedite the enactment of the Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill pending before the House. The First Lady said her office will continue to work with women parliamentarians to influence the speedy enactment of the bill. She was speaking during the launch of the 2014-2018 Kenya Women Parliamentary Association Strategic Plan at the Kenyatta International Convention Center.
On my part, I'm focused on reducing maternal and children mortality to secure the well-being of women and children in Kenya through the Beyond Zero campaign. I personally look forward to working with women parliamentarians in influencing the speedy enactment of the Maternal, Newborn, Child Health Bill as we aim to realize Article 43 of the Constitution, among other development agendas.
At this point, we'll take a short break, but we'll be back with more stories from Africa in the international front. But we'll take a look at the proverb of the day. Welcome back. Skyrocketing demand for ivory in China has stroked the booming illegal trade and led to the rise of the price on the commodity. According to a report by a conservation group, Save the Elephants, the wholesale price of raw tusks has tripled since 2010.
The report also revealed that retail prices of ivory have increased 13 times between 2002 and 2014 in Beijing. According to Esmond Martin, a wildlife trade expert and co-author of the report from Save the Elephants, higher demand for ivory is fueling the killing of elephants by poachers across Africa.
What amazed us was the huge increase in the price of raw ivory and worked ivory over the last few years in China. Prices have gone up 3 times for raw ivory over the last 3 or 4 years. And over the last 10 years or so, the price of worked ivory has gone up 10-fold, 12-fold. Absolutely incredible, the prices.
Save the Elephants estimated that 100,000 elephants were killed in Africa between 2010 and 2012.
Les armes automatiques. Attends, je vais laisser ta photo. Fais ta photo.
In 2002, the report says there were 5,241 elephant ivory goods on sale in Beijing and Shanghai. But in 2014, the number had risen to over 8,000. A decade ago, there were 9 factories and 31 authorized ivory retail outlets in China. By 2013, there were 37 factories and 145 retail outlets. Some ivory sales are legal in China, but the report said that nearly 4 out of 5 ivory shops in Beijing are illegal. China's government has said it is working to combat the illegal ivory trade.
There was drama in Nairobi's central business district when over 20 donkeys with graffiti painted on them were abandoned last night. The animals were dumped by a lorry driver who said he was hired by a man who asked him to deliver them to the city center.
There was excitement Thursday morning when Nairobi's central business district received rare guests. 22 donkeys branded "Tumechoka," meaning "we are tired." The donkeys were dumped and left to wander along the streets. Some of them had physical injuries. It is believed that some activists ferried the donkeys in a lorry with the intention of mocking politicians for bad leadership. According to onlookers, one man was heard shouting, "We are tired of this leadership," as he pushed the animals out of the truck. The lorry driver said he was hired by a man and asked him to transport the donkeys. 6 of the donkeys were left to wander along Mwindibingu Street. They were later driven away by county askaris. The animals were meant to send a message that Kenyans are tired of rising cost of living and insecurity. The Tumechoka slogan was crafted by activists and civil rights groups during the Occupy Harambee Avenue demonstration after the Mandera bus attack. Activists have used pigs in the past too to pass the message of disappointment.
Moving on to the rest of Africa, health workers in Sierra Leone have discovered scores of bodies in a remote diamond mining area, raising fears that the scale of the Ebola outbreak may have been underreported. Sierra Leone has the highest number of Ebola cases in West Africa, with over 7,000 cases since the beginning of the outbreak.
The World Health Organization officials said they uncovered a grim scene in the eastern district of Kono. A response team had been sent to Kono to investigate a sharp rise in Ebola cases. Ebola has killed over 6,000 people in West Africa, with more than 17,000 people infected. Health officials are worried that many of the Ebola cases in Kono have gone unreported until now. The district of the more than 350,000 inhabitants had reported 119 cases up to 9th December. Authorities in Sierra Leone have decided to put Kono district on lockdown from yesterday to 23rd December to try and contain the outbreak. During the lockdown, no one will be able to enter or leave the district, but they can move around freely within it.
A huge number of Hong Kong police on Thursday tore down tents as they closed down a pro-democracy protest camp spread across the busy highway as part of a final push to retake streets occupied by activists for 2.5 months.
The protesters are rejecting Beijing's restriction on the first election for the city's top leader scheduled for 2017, but they have failed to win any concession from Hong Kong government. The session at the end of the financial district has been the focal point for the protesters who have occupied the site for 75 days. The police operation will be under close scrutiny, with a group of about 30 academics monitoring the operation, along with the Independent Police Complaints Council and human rights groups. Workers were sent in to dismantle barricades at the main pre-democracy protest site in Hong Kong. There was little initial resistance as scores of protesters packed up pillows, blankets and other belongings from inside their tents and prepared to leave, although some have vowed to stay despite government warnings of arrests. According to Hong Kong media reports, some 7,000 police officers were due to be deployed in 2 shifts to handle the issue. The protesters are demanding open monitoring in the city's next election for chief executive in 2017. Beijing has said it will allow a vote in 2017, but only among pre-screened candidates.
And finally, Malala Yousafzai of Pakistan and Kailash Satyarthi of India received the Nobel Peace Prize for risking their lives to protect children from slavery, extremism and child labor. The 17-year-old Malala, the youngest ever Nobel winner, and Satyarthi, aged 60, collected the award at a ceremony in the Norwegian capital to a standing ovation.
The 2 Nobel Peace Laureates were receiving their prizes after 2 days of celebration in honor of their work for children's rights. Malala became by far the youngest laureate, widely praised for her global campaigning since she was shot in the head on her school bus in 2012. Some groups in Pakistan, however, have accused her of being a puppet of the West and violating the tenets of conservative Islam. She is the youngest ever recipient of a Nobel Prize.
This award is not just for me. It is for those forgotten children who want education. It is for those frightened children who want peace. It is for those voiceless children who want change. I'm here to stand up for their rights, to raise their voice. It is time to take action so it becomes the last time that we see a child deprived of education.
Malala was jointly awarded the prize with Indian activist Kailash Satyarthi.
Friends, there is no greater violence than to deny the dreams of our children. Therefore, I refuse to accept that all the temples and mosques and churches and prayer houses have no place for the dreams of our children. I refuse to accept that the world is so poor when just 1 week of military expenditure can bring all the children to classrooms. I refuse to accept that all the laws and constitutions and police and judges are unable to protect our children. I refuse to accept that the shackles of slavery can ever be more stronger than the quest for freedom. I refuse to accept here.
As Malala was receiving her award, a young man with a Mexican flag briefly ran onto the stage but was whisked off by a security guard. By honoring this year's winners, the Norwegian Nobel Committee linked the Peace Award to conflicts between world religions and neighboring nuclear powers, as well as drawing attention to children's rights. The other awards in medicine, physics, chemistry and literature were also presented in Stockholm.
And with that, we come to the end of the Bulletin on Africa this morning. Up next, we'll take a look at the leading stories in the dailies in Kenya in our segment Media Watch.